What's up? Juno here. Back when I was in college, when I was studying for my degree in radio, TV, and film, one of the classes that I took was probably one of the most interesting classes that was available for my degree at the time. Now, other friends of mine that I'd known while I was going to school, they didn't seem to find an interest in this class, even though we were all studying for the same major. And this class was a regulation and censorship class. Now, anyone who has had issues on YouTube with vote botting or false flagging or false DMCAs, which I have had all of those happen to me, knows how much censorship can hurt individuals or groups. But in terms of regulation for certain things, especially with government stepping in and trying to remedy certain situations, it's not always bad, because I think there are some things that can be done in terms of what's being broadcast and what's being shown on television that might not be the best thing for the audience that the programming is designed for. Now, in this class that I took, it had to do with talking about how things are regulated, what the FCC has control over, what people can and can't do, what the outcomes were, and lucky for me, the professor who was teaching the class used to be a censor or a person who would be dealing with censoring certain things, aspects, or had to kind of be the middleman between the network that he worked for and the creator of the media that was being sold to or produced for the network. And that was great, because he knew the inner workings of how regulation and what gets approved and what's acceptable and what's not. Now, the only reason why they exist is because they have to please the advertisers, they have to please the special interest groups, stuff like that, and you know how I feel about the PTC, not too highly. But this particular aspect of trying to regulate certain things, I think, may be beneficial, because the audience that they're going after can't really make decisions for themselves, and the audience I'm talking about is children. Now, something that used to be a kind of mainline thing, or something that was not out of the ordinary when TV first started getting going, was host selling. Now, what is host selling? Well, host selling is when you'd have a host or a main figure of a TV show within the same program, the TV show, advertise a particular product. A perfect example of this was way back, probably in the 50s or whenever it was first started, was the Flintstones. Now, today, the show The Flintstones, the animated show, would be seen more for children. But for its time, it would be more along the lines of, say, Family Guy, The Simpsons, stuff like that, what we see on broadcast TV, maybe even South Park. It was designed to be kind of an animated sitcom for adults. It wasn't initially designed to be for children, although today it seems to be deemed safe enough for children. Way back when it was first getting started, the creators of the Flintstones did an ad for Winston cigarettes. I shit you not. I will try and look for a link to it and put it in the description so you can check it out for yourself. Now, would this fly today? Absolutely not. Firstly, in the United States, it's illegal for cigarette companies to even advertise on TV. Secondly, it is absolutely host selling. Now, host selling can be kind of a gray area, because if you look on especially talk programs and stuff like that, you have the hosts or the talk show hosts or whatever talking about products. Oprah is a perfect example of this, but you don't have to go just to the big ones. You can go to any TV show and you'll see, talk show, they'll be trying to show a product and stuff like that. And it's different between showing a product and trying to sell a product, but in a way it could be argued that they're both doing the same. But host selling in the United States is illegal for children's television. You cannot have a character for a children's TV show within the same program trying to sell a product. That is illegal, still. And there are some programs that were kind of derived based off toy products. A perfect example of this would be the Transformers franchise. It started out as a toy, and then it was adapted to be a TV show. Another class that I took when I was in college was a children's TV course, and it talked about how certain TV shows that were designed for children have now started and progressed through time. So with this video, I know I've been kind of giving you a little bit of a backstory. I want to talk about something that I think probably shouldn't happen, just because the audience, children, is what they're going for, and what it's designed to do, it seems to be a conflict of interest here. So let's get into it. So now that I've given you a definition of what host-selling is, here's another one. Host-selling is where a character appearing in a television show also appears in a commercial during that show. This is illegal for children's television, but there are numerous workarounds. So let's talk about one of the numerous workarounds here. And this has to do with a toy company, Hasbro, wanting to start a television channel for children. So let me read this story. I'll post a link to it on the side so you can check it out for yourself. New kid-centric cable channel, The Hub, hasn't even debuted yet, but it's already receiving a lot of criticism from parental and consumer watchdog groups, not because of its programming is too violent or racy, but because it's co-owned by a toy and game giant, Hasbro. I think, honestly, I don't know exactly how to feel about this, because you have a toy company owning a network, okay, but it seems like their programming is derived from their products. That's kind of getting into iffy waters here. But then again, if you look at major news organizations, they are owned from big conglomerates that may have their hands in other things too. The difference between that, though, is hopefully adults will be able to realize or be able to differentiate between, a product that's being shilled to you versus something that's legitimate. And with children, they don't have that sort of reasoning, although it probably could be argued that there are a lot of adults out there that don't have a reasonable way to deduce which is the best decision either. The Hub, a partnership between Hasbro and Discovery Communications, will feature a decent portion of programming based on products from the toy company, like G.I. Joe, My Little Pony, and Transformers. And there's a show like Family Game Night, where contestants play live versions of Hasbro games like Cranium, Twister, and Yahtzee. The notion of a toy company owning a television channel for the sole purpose of promoting their toys is an egregious practice, said Susan Lin, director of the Campaign for Commercial-Free Childhood, which recently lodged a complaint with the FTC regarding the new Nicktoons show, Zevo 3, which they allege is nothing but a 30-minute ad for Skechers sneakers. I haven't seen the show Zevo 3, who knows, but I see, because I am a big fan of Adult Swim, and I will typically, a lot of the time, fall asleep with my television on. And when I wake up in the morning, it has switched back over to children's programming. And when I'm looking at the ads there, they are trying to sell products. I mean, a lot of the times they're trying to sell toys, food products designed for children, various clothing lines and stuff like that designed for children. Okay. The issue I have here is I've watched various Transformers programs. I haven't watched the other ones listed here. It doesn't seem as overt, because yes, while the characters are derived from toys that are being made, it doesn't seem like they're trying to sell the product directly, like how in the Flintstones ad back in the day, how they were literally sitting there, Fred and Barney were sitting there holding a pack of Winstons, lighting up and praising how great it was. I don't think it's the same thing. I do think, though, that there is a little bit of a conflict of interest with a toy company and a communications or television company kind of going together and deriving their program from toys. Another thing that kind of gets me confused here is a lot of these companies or a lot of these shows that they're wanting to promote here, well, at least I know for sure Transformers, is already shown on Cartoon Network in the United States. So what would happen there? Would they pull the Transformers programming from Cartoon Network and move it over to this new network, or would they keep them running together? Now, there's also been other versions of Transformers, and I'm sure G.I. Joe and maybe even My Little Pony. I'm not an expert on those. But is this going to be radically different, and what are the contents of it? Now, the network hasn't even launched yet, so who knows? Who knows if it even will? They may cause it to be canceled. I don't know. But let's continue reading on here. There have been many shows created to just try and help move toy lines that have come and gone very quickly, Loesch said. The proportion of programs that the Hub carry based on Hasbro toys and games is less than 20%, she said. A very small piece of a much larger mosaic. Fair enough. I mean, those are only 3 programs that they've listed here, and I doubt they're going to be just showing those on repeat throughout the day. So, I don't know how to feel about this. I guess, in a way, you can't really complain yet because the network hasn't launched yet. The thing that will have to happen is they'll have to launch and you have to watch the programming. It could be illegal. It might not be. Now, I'm not one to whine about certain things to government agencies, while there are special interest groups out there that will. Parents Television Council, hello. But the issue here is, okay, firstly, you have parents that can't say no to their children, and then you have, but ultimately, the parents have the last say. Kids are not gainfully employed, they have no control of an income, nothing like that. Parents have the choice to decide what they will allow their children to have or not have, what to buy, not buy, stuff like that. So it's not necessarily you have to worry about kids being loose with their money or anything like that, because for the most part they don't really have any earning power, especially what the target demo for these programs are. They're not. I mean, chances are they're under 14, the kids that are going to be watching this type of shit, for the most part, I would say. So the parents have the last say. But then again, you have parents nowadays that are willing to give up all responsibility and blame it on things when they're not parenting their children closely enough, or not giving their children a good set of rules to determine what is right and wrong. It's a tough call. But let me ask you, my subscribers, I know some of you are parents out there. I'm not a parent. I don't know how to feel about this. But if you are a parent, if you have at least one child, when it comes to television stuff, is there anything, especially in terms of kids programming, that you will not let your child watch? Maybe it's something you disagree with. Maybe you don't like what it stands for. Maybe it's a product you disagree with. Is there something out there that you will not allow, even though it's geared towards children, your children to watch? And are you concerned about something like this? Now, I know a lot of people out there don't have their degrees and how procedures go with television communications and stuff like that, unlike me. So I'm looking at this from a more broad external perspective. But I would like to know in a video or comments or whatever from you guys, if you think this is a bad thing. Do you not have a problem with it? Do you think it shouldn't happen? I don't know. I just wanted to throw this out there. Something different. Something related to media. So, yeah. Let me know in the comments or in a video response, whatever. Anyway, do your part. Blaspheme daily.